Hello everyone, today I'm in Prescott, Ontario, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the Battle of the Windmill National Historic Site of Canada. Let's go check it out. So I'm located right next to the St. Lawrence River, and I'll take you on a tour down to see the river after we tour the building and all the signage around it. This attraction is free, but here is a donation box if you'd like to donate some money towards maintaining this historic site. Just show you this sign. There's a Canadian flag. And just wanted to point out that there is a washroom here if you need it. Here's another shot of the lighthouse. Okay, so over here there is a bunch of plaque which you can read some information before going inside. Alright, so welcome to the site of the Battle of the Windmill. You are standing on a battlefield where men fought and died. This battle took place in November 1838 during the Canadian rebellions. One side fought to liberate Canada from British rule. The other side rallied to protect their homes or the established political order. The lighthouse in front of you is a converted windmill around which the battle was fought. Fort Wellington, a few kilometers to the west in Prescott, was a gathering point for the British troops at the time of the battle. The fort still stands and is now open to the public. And I do have a full tour video of Fort Wellington, and I will link it to this video if that is of interest to you. Okay, so there's a bunch more signage over here that we can explore. Okay, so this says, this plaque commemorates the designation of Windmill Point Lighthouse under the Heritage Lighthouse Protection Act. The Battle of the Windmill. After the 1837 rebellions, many rebels fled to the United States, where a few joined American sympathizers in a new attempt to overthrow British rule in Canada. On November 12, 1838, they landed 190 men here and seized this windmill and nearby buildings. The local people remained loyal, reporting to their militia units. In a few days, 2,000 militia and regulars supported by naval vessels besieged the mill. Although British guns did little damage to the mill, the insurgents, seeing no escape, surrendered on the 16th. 11 were later executed and 60 exiled to Australia. So, what caused the 1838 bloodshed? During the 1820s and 1830s, Canada was a British colony governed by a small ruling elite. A section of the population of Upper and Lower Canada demanded political reforms. These reformers wanted a broadly based democratic form of government. They were opposed by those who feared radical change and the loss of the British connection. The clash between reformers and the ruling elite led to open rebellion by many of the reformers in 1837. Although the rebels were soundly defeated, many of their goals were gradually achieved. So here's a much larger placard that we can read. So in 1837, the British Army and loyal militia crushed the first army revolt in Upper and Lower Canada. Many rebels fled to the United States. The exiles joined with American sympathizers to form a secret paramilitary organization, the Hunters Lodge. In 1838, a group of hunters planned an invasion of Canada at Prescott. It was expected that the local population would join in liberating the country from British rule. Early on the morning of November 12th, 1838, 190 hunters landed at Windmill Point. Most were Americans. Contrary to their expectations, the local population did not rally to their side. By November 13th, over 2,000 local militiamen and British soldiers surrounded the rebel position. After a bitter and bloody skirmish, the government forces drove the rebels into the windmill and surrounding stone buildings. But they could not attack these buildings without large cannons. November 14th and 15th were uneventful. The hunters were counting on help from the United States that never came, while the British awaited artillery reinforcements. On November 16th was decisive. British gunboats patrolled the river while their field guns arrived by land. In the afternoon, they bombarded the rebels for 2 hours. The hunters were low on ammunition, food, and water. There were no medical supplies to ease the pain of their wounded. By nightfall, they ran out of both resources and hope and surrendered unconditionally. "20 rebels were killed and another 20 were wounded in the battle. While 15 soldiers were killed and 55 were wounded, the captured rebels were tried. 11 were hanged, 60 were deported to Australia, and the rest were released. The rebellion was an expression of deep satisfaction. It was profoundly transformed political life in Canada and forced the British to review the way they administered the country. 30 years later, Confederation was born." Right, and here it just says, a modern illustration of the battle site as it may have appeared on Tuesday, November 13th, 1838. I'll just pan out for you. Okay, so it points out on this side is the US. Here is Ogdensburg. Okay, and here is where the windmill turned lighthouse was and is, which is right here. Okay, so there is one more sign here to read. So this lighthouse was built originally as a windmill in the 1820s. It served the needs of the local residents, grinding their grain into flour or animal feed. After the 1838 battle, it was used as a temporary military post. In 1872, the federal government converted the tower into a lighthouse that remained in service until 1978. Today, the mill and adjacent land are a National Historic Site. This is the lighthouse in 1878. Right, so I'll just give you one last quick look of what the Windmill Now Lighthouse looks like from the outside, and then we'll go in. So we'll be able to climb all the way, almost all the way to the top. Right, let's go inside. On the main floor, there's a bunch more information. So there's a ton of windows with great views. On this side, you got a Canadian flag. Got the British flag. And the view of St. Lawrence. Battle of the Windmill, November 13th, 1838. In memory of Lieutenant William Johnson, 33rd Regiment, Captain George Drummond, and Lieutenant John Delmage, Greenville Militia. There are a few artifacts in here that are kind of interesting. So it says these items were found in the area around the windmill. It's like an axe head. Some bottles in the back. There's some more interesting items. So it says that this is a light assembly. Coast Guard lighthouse era. This is a electrical switcher, Coast Guard lighthouse era. This is the electrical switches, Coast Guard lighthouse era. And in the back is sections of Fresnel lens assembly, Coast Guard lighthouse era. Okay. And then we go further upstairs. I just wanted to point out that there is a soldier, which is pretty neat. And here's a view of what we'll be climbing. So, yeah, heads up, there is quite a few stairs that you have to climb, but it is worth it for the historical experience. This is what it looks like on this floor. There's a better view of the soldier. And the view when you look up. Stone walls. Okay. Again, here's the view. Go to stairs. Here's how it looks like. Go down. Flight. All right. So the Battle of the Windmill. November 12th, 1838, some 200 American sympathizers and Canadian rebels landed at Windmill Point, seizing the windmill and outlying dwelling. The next morning, British patrol ships pounded the Patriot position with artillery fire, while some 2,000 local militia and a small detachment of British soldiers attacked their fortified stronghold. When they failed to dislodge the insurgents from the mill and protective stone buildings, additional troops and artillery were rushed to Prescott. On November 16th, the British resumed the attack. From land and water, lacking ammunition and any hope of escape, the Patriots hiding in the windmill raised a white flag and surrendered. Right, so this sign says, "The view downriver shows the International Bridge building in 1960. In the distance are the Prescott grain elevators built in 1929. And you've got some binoculars if you'd like to use them. So I will zoom in for you. But yes, so if you look straight ahead, right there, and going right across, that is the Prescott Ogdensburg International Bridge, which will take you to the US. And then right here, hopefully you can see, right there is the Prescott grain elevators built in 1929. If you get up close to them, it's quite the sight. The bridge and the grain elevators, it's huge when you see it up close. There is a little more for us to read here. So this is the windmill at Prescott circa 1900. This is the windmill as it was in 1878. So it says, this is the view of the windmill at Prescott, Upper Canada, and the adjacent houses as it appeared after the action sketched April 1839. So the windmill, built circa 1831 by West Indian merchant Thomas Hughes, was the dominant feature in the small community of Newport. The mill and stone buildings were damaged by the heavy British artillery fired during the battle. The mill was repaired and used as temporary barracks. Although the residents were compensated for their losses, Newport never recovered. The surviving stone ruins were popular local landmarks. In 1873, the stone tower was converted into a lighthouse to aid navigation along the St. Lawrence River. The Battle of the Windmill was designated a National Historic Site by the Government of Canada in 1920. So there's another sign. So this says the windmill by P. Bainbrig, National Archives of Canada. And this is a portrait of Niels von Schultz. So 11 prisoners were publicly executed on these gallows built on the high ground behind Fort Henry Kingston. And the 159 prisoners captured at the battle were sent to Kingston for trial by court-martial. 3 died before their trial. 11 were executed, including the leader, Niels von Schultz. 60 were transported to the penal colony at Van Diemen's Land, Tasmania, and the rest set free. The active militia remained on duty at Prescott until 1842, when they were replaced by soldiers from the Royal Canadian Rifle Regiment. Political reforms introduced after 1838 addressed many of the grievances which sparked the rebellion. One last thing to see over here. Okay, so this sign says, from this vantage point, rebel sharpshooters could fire on British troops. Upriver to the west lies Fort Wellington, which was being rebuilt at the time of the Battle of the Windmill. Okay, so you can see I have a great view of the St. Lawrence River from here. And yes, just further down here is the Fort Wellington National Historic Site, and I've done a full tour of that as well, and I will link that video to this one for you if that's of interest to you. Here's one last look at what it looks like up here. Okay, so I'm now going to take you back outside, and I'm going to take you down to the St. Lawrence River, and you will get a better look of what it looks like, everything from the bridge to, you can see how close the U.S. is to this spot, and you can understand why the battle happened here. And originally, this is all closed off, but so we can't go up to the very, very top, but that is up there is where the lighthouse was. But you can see they've blocked it off, so we can't go. Alright, let's now go downstairs and check out the St. Lawrence River. Right, let's head out. Thank you. Right, before we head down, I just want to point out that there is a international border marker here. There's one on the U.S. side as well. So this is an international border marker. Right, so just sort of as an added bonus, there is just a very short trail here that you can check out that takes you down to the St. Lawrence River. Watch your step. It is a little rocky around here. And some stairs. Right, so there's kind of two spots where you can access the water down here. So this is the first one. There is another placard here. So welcome to the site of the Battle of the Windmill. You are standing on a battlefield where men fought and died. This battle took place in November 1838 during the Canadian Rebellions. One side fought to liberate Canada from British rule. The other side rallied to protect their homes or the established political order. The lighthouse in front of you is a converted windmill around which the battle was fought. Fort Wellington, a few kilometers to the west in Prescott, was a gathering point for the British troops at the time of the battle. The fort still stands and is now open to the public. And again, there's also Fort Wellington site, which is just a kilometer or two away from here, literally just down the road. And I've done another video that's like a full walking tour of Fort Wellington as well that you can check out, that I will link to this video for you. Right, so there's a really nice spot here. So there's a picnic table, and there's rarely anybody here, to be honest, so it's a nice spot to come and just sit and relax and enjoy a view of the St. Lawrence. There's no beach, but the water is pretty shallow at the edge that you could go in. I have seen people swimming here before. All right, I'm going to take you to the other spot where you can access the water, and you get a much better view of the bridge as well. Again, it's just a very short walk. And so again, this is called Diane and Barry Brown Nature Trail. It's not rocky, but there's quite a few tree roots, so watch your step here as well. And as you walk along there, you can definitely see some vantage points of the river. Okay, so we have already arrived. So there's this really cool tree that's reaching over the water. And then just go around the corner here. Kind of a little special hidden gem spot. There's, again, no beach, but rocks. So you can come here and you can see straight ahead again is a better view of the Prescott Ogdensburg International Bridge. So if you take that bridge, you can go back and forth between Canada and the US. And as I said, directly across is the United States. And right now I am on the Canada side in Prescott, Ontario. It's, again, really peaceful, secret little hidden gem here if you're into that sort of thing. Alright, so this is the end of the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed content about things to do in Canada, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy travels!